welcome. You're watching Newsx and I'm Megha Sharma. The Lamborghini that hit two laborers while they were resting on a footpath, this incident that took place in Noida, was being driven by a luxury car dealer considering buying the car. Now, Ajmer resident Deepak, who was driving the car at the time of the accident, had been nabbed and the vehicle was seized. The two laborers have suffered leg injuries but are out of danger. One of the laborers injured in the Lamborghini car crash in Noida Sector 94 reportedly claimed that the luxury vehicle was overspeeding. During questioning, Deepak told the police that the accident happened due to a fault in the vehicle. Deepak, who was taken for medical examination, after which the police confirmed that he was not under the influence of alcohol at the time of the accident. Meanwhile, the investigation also revealed that the Lamborghini involved in the accident did not belong to Deepak but to a popular YouTuber Mridul Tiwari. Deepak was test driving the luxury car when the accident took place. A video surfaced online showcasing that after the accident, a man was heard asking the accused if he knew how many people died. The accused asked the locals, "Did anyone die here?" and came out of the car. Take a look at that video that is now going viral on social media.
क्या भाई स्टंट ज्यादा सीख लिए? स्टंट ज्यादा सीख लिए? कितना आदमी मरा है पता है? मर गया इधर। तो क्या देख उधर, पुलिस को बुलाओ, पहले पुलिस को बुलाओ भैया। अभी तुम्हारा गाड़ी किसका लग गई? मैं कुछ नहीं। भैया पुलिस को बुलाओ। भाग नहीं पाए। अरे रेस मारती गाड़ी। रेस तुम कितना? अरे एक्सीलेटर देते हुए आ रहे हो। हल्का सा दिए हो।
All right, joining me on the telecast are my panelists. I'm going to start my conversation with Dilip Cherin. Dilip, thanks for joining us. And your first reaction to this incident that has been reported: there was a car dealer who got this car, was wanting to actually purchase it from this social media influencer, went for a test drive, accidentally hit two of these laborers who were resting on the footpath. This is something that has been happening frequently, time and again across the country, whether it is Mumbai or for that matter here in Noida. And there are reports that are at this point of time pointing out that there was an attempt by the police reportedly to hide the identity of this individual who was behind the wheel.
You know, Megha, I'd like to make three different kinds of comments. One is that police investigations need to be thorough, public and visible in terms of what is going on. For an accident which has taken place in full public view, you have witnesses, you have eyewitnesses speaking about it, and much of it is already in the public domain. So therefore there needs to be greater transparency in the way this investigation proceeds. Second, the vehicle itself. You know, vehicles of this kind and roads of the kind that we now are creating are clearly something that we have to get our heads wrapped around. You know, these are dangerous cars at the speeds at which they can be driven, and these roads are those that encourage speeding. So we need to recognize that there is a stick shift, as it were, in gears that the Indian driver, the Indian pedestrian, the Indian road user needs to be aware of. Number three, irrespective of who the original owner is, the onus of guilt, and there is guilt here because people have been injured, the onus of guilt lies squarely on the person who is driving the car. So I think that, you know, everything else aside, these three things are what should be focused on before this case, like so many others, vanishes into the mist of no concern.
What do you make of these laborers who were lying on the road? I don't know, they were lying on the footpath and taking a nap right over there. They were resting. Or what about this, encroaching upon public property, encroaching upon the roads? Are they also causing a hazard?
I I completely have nothing to find fault with them. Please be assured that laborers will not lie on a footpath unless they don't have a choice. And secondly, cars are never meant to be anywhere near a footpath.
Are you saying that luxury cars like Lamborghinis our Indian roads are ill-equipped to handle them? Because claims at this point in time, I don't know, absurd claims being made by the passers-by and the laborers that the car was driving at the speed of 300 kilometers per hour.
Even if it exceeds 150 kilometers per hour, Megha, it's not legitimate to have that kind of driving speed. Secondly, as I said, we are actually unleashing a population which has not got around the idea of the discipline that's necessary when you have both the power, the pelf, and the easy passage that today's roads and cars are allowing. These cars were not actually designed for the kind of road conditions that very crowded countries like ours have. I agree that highways and expressways need to have fewer human encroachments, but look, that is the way we are. We need to make sure that we design for who we are, not for some strange Autobahn kind of economy or culture.
I also have with me A.K. Jain. He's a former DGP, Uttar Pradesh. A.K. Jain, there are at this point of time claims being made by the police were trying to hide the identity of the individual who was behind the wheels. Later on, there is a clarification being made by the police officials who registered the case that the laborers themselves did know the identity, and later on when the man was identified, they have been able to release the name.
In the morning, that police was trying to hide the identity of that car broker, Deepak. He was very much there behind the wheels, and he was caught by people, by the public. And the way he was driving, I could see that the wheel of the car was on pavement. He is not supposed to drive like that. Under section 125 of new BNS, action should be taken against him, and strict action should be taken against him under sections of Motor Vehicle Act also for over speeding. If he is driving at a speed of 150 or 120 or 100 in Noida, it is not permissible at all. I don't know whether he was drunk or not. Action should be taken under sections of Motor Vehicle Act also, and there should be transparency. I agree. There should be transparency from the side of police, and the details should be released. Action should be taken against him, and the owner of the car, Mridul Tiwari, that YouTuber, should also be questioned. Should also be questioned as to why did he give his car like this to this car broker. He should also be questioned, and I agree that cars like Lamborghini, they are very dangerous, especially on streets like of Gurgaon, Delhi, NCR region, Noida. They're very, very dangerous. They have to be driven very, very carefully. And the police, what police can do is, laws are very weak in this respect in our country. And those two laborers, at least they are safe. They have sustained injuries, but they are safe. They are not. They have not succumbed to the injuries. Whatever action is required should be taken under section 125 of BNS, in which there is punishment for 3 years of imprisonment and fine up to 10,000 rupees. Police should do proper parry in the case and should ensure that the culprit gets the punishment.
Ashwini Dubey, is it an open and shut case? The man has been captured on video. We can clearly see that he has driven over the pavement. There are 2 laborers who are injured. What are the maximum punishment that that can be levied on him?
Megha, we were expecting that the section 106 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the ban which has been, or the ban which has been put by the Home Ministry should have been lifted so that these kind of preparators of crime should be tried under the provisions of BNS. But unfortunately, still, so far as the hit and run cases, the old provisions or the old penalties are existing, like 279, 336, 337, 338, 304 of the Indian Penal Code. But if we see the BNS, Section 106, subclause 2 of the BNS stipulates a penalty of up to 10 years in jail and a fine for fleeing an accident spot and failing to report the incident to a police officer or magistrate. This would have been more made accountable to these kind of accused persons. But due to the strike by various transport departments and various transport owners as well as the truckers, this could not be implemented for the time being. Mega, it's not first incident which we are discussing. Do you remember the Pune's Porsche case? The same thing has happened. You remember the Greater Kailash case, the hit and run case where the father and son they were made somebody succumb to the injuries and ultimately he died in the hospital. What happened? Then the minor boys are driving the vehicle. What accountability is being faced unless and until there is a stricter punishment and a stricter law. A law that is enforced in a time-bound manner in the country, these incidents would happen. You remember the statement of Nitin Gadkari ji in a Constitution Club. What he says, that India experienced approximately 480,000 road accidents resulting in 180,000 fatalities, around the 40,000 serious injuries. You remember the Kiran Rijiju's statement, what he said, road safety is very important for every citizen. When you go on the road, there are many rules to prevent accidents. And who has to ensure that this should be implemented? That duty lies on the law and order enforcing agency. And I'm sorry, if the police would try to hide the identity of the preparator of the crime or the accused, then these things would happen. And how this is happening? What we saw in the Porsche case in Pune, immediately within 24 hours, he caught the bell. Immediately one MLA immediately went to the police station. And these things is happening. So if the law would be used and misused and abused by the politicians or the people who have money power or who have a more influence under the administration, these things would happen.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
Please.
Okay,
Yes.
fine. I'm going to come to that point and therefore, draw a comparison to the case where this boy who was underage, he was 17 years old. This was the Porsche case that had taken place in Pune. 2 techies had died in that accident, unfortunately. They were trying to hide the identity of the child, of the underage, of the minor who committed the crime. And I'll come back to the parallels that can be drawn in these 2 cases, but let me talk about road safety over here. And Anurag Kulkshetra, who's the road safety expert, joining me on the telecast right now. Mr. Anurag, here we take a look at this incident side, the accident side, and we take a look that there is a lack of a proper pavement that has been built, or that was supposed to be there on the side of the road. So what about road safety? How do we find out were there proper road safety guidelines that were followed? Was the footpath made as per the road safety guidelines that have to be adhered to by the civil engineers?
To be very frank, Megha, we do have number of studies in case of Noida. 80% of the footpaths in Noida are not meant for the pedestrian. Please take my words. 80% of the footpaths are not meant for the pedestrians. So it's a clear case for our engineers and all. Second thing about the road safety for this vehicle, it's a very open and shut case. Although people are saying speed was 300, what the police is doing, police is not having any capacity to judge all these things about the speed and all during the investigation. So as per the Supreme Court committee guideline, that is on road safety committee, they have clearly directed all the states, all the districts to constitute one committee for road accidents. Unfortunately, there is no road accident investigation, proper investigation in India. There must be the investigation team of engineers, team of accident investigators, police, as well as some RTO persons. They must reach to the site within half an hour of the accidents, but nothing is going on. We are just waiting for the reaction from the public. It's at 300, it's at 200. It's open and shut. It's over speeding. Our road are meant for the maximum of the speeds in Noida, that is 80. 80 is the posted speed, and the designed speed must be around 90 or 100 only. If anybody is doing exceeding the limits above 100, it means it was intentionally he was doing, as he has admitted himself. He was on the test drive of that vehicle, so he
Yeah.
was intentionally over speeding the vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of the investigation whether it was over 150 or 200 or 300, and accordingly police must decide the severity of the incident, and accordingly punishment must be there. I don't have any matter whether it's Lamborghini or some influencer was there. I do have the concern with the overspeeding of the car and the injured person if they are on the footpath. It's also a wrong thing, because it's a lack of our law and enforcement agencies. They must be having some capacity to do all these things along with other stakeholders.
Okay.
If proper investigation with
Yeah, Dilip
scientific
Cherian,
investigation
I'll come
must be
back to you, sir. Dilip Cherian, now, do you think that this man has been nabbed and, comparatively swifter action has been taken by the police simply because he does not have the resources to protect himself, bribe the police officials? As was being mentioned by Ashwini, there was a case in Pune in 2024 that this boy, an underage boy, his identity had been deliberately hidden. The driver of the family was asked to take the blame, and then of course the case unraveled and the police were forced to actually tell the entire truth of the incident. But I don't know what has happened in the case because the media has stopped following it. So whether that minor is still at this point of time detained, or has there proper compensation been given to the kin of the family members? But here's a case where this dealer has been caught. He has been caught red-handed on a video camera. And do you think it was easier for the police to reveal his identity because perhaps he's not as influential?
I think it's shameful that this country has come to a pass where we are saying that the fact of the police having been able to reveal his identity is a result of his inadequacy of being able to bribe his way through. I think the wonderful thing today is that we have no paucity of cameras at any spot in the country, and there are enough people grabbing video shots of whatever is going on. So I think it's going to get more and more difficult, and I really wonder what prevents the police, who otherwise are quite quick in giving your car a challan if you overspeeded in one patch. Why is it that they're not able to estimate the speed of a vehicle at any point in time? That's the whole point of having multiple cameras. But coming back to bribes and coming back to what happened in Pune, I think that as a country, we need to collectively hang our heads in shame if the rich can get away with whatever they want. We need to understand that the laws that are in place are actually hugely minimal. Countries across the world are now experimenting with indexing the fine to either the price of the vehicle or the income of the driver. So I think that we need to understand that it is a mixture of poor policing, very low fine environment, as well as the ability of many perpetrators of such crimes to be able to use their purse power to get over police investigations. I think we need to recognize that we need to arm our policemen with far greater responsibility and independence so that they are not easily influenced by either politicians who tend to jump into this or local bureaucrats who may also attempt to try and veer the course of the law. I think that this is a great example of where a public which was attentive, cameras which were on, helped to identify and make sure that what was going to be attempted didn't actually happen.
A.K. Jain, is this a boon for the police forces, for the victims, for the public at large, that we have become a more conscious nation when it comes to utilizing social media in situations such as this for safeguarding lives, for ensuring no wrongdoing takes place. So social media here and instant cameras on our mobile phones are a boon that instances such as these can be reported and action can be taken swiftly, and there are no loopholes that can be taken advantage of by the culprits and bureaucrats and police officials.
You are asking me this question?
Yes.
In my opinion, this is a clear case of overspeeding. I have already expressed myself. Section 125 action should be taken under Section 125 of BNS because no death has occurred in the case of the laborers. All these questions are beyond my scope. What were the laborers doing on the pavement? Were they supposed to be there or not? The police has all the evidence. I think case can be charge sheeted within 7 days, and court will decide it. I think the police is expected to do proper parvy in the case in court so that the person gets punishment, due punishment. Section 106 has been put at abeyance, but Section 125 is still there, and Section 279, 337, 338 of old IPC, and police has enough evidence to charge sheet the man. From the CCTV cameras, I think speed can be analyzed by experts as to at what speed the person Deepak, who was driving the car, whether he was driving at 120 or 150 or 180 or 300. I don't think 300 is possible on the roads of Noida.
Yeah.
I have been SSP there.
Okay.
I have been in senior position. So, but police, it's a absolutely clear-cut case of over-speeding, and under sections of Motor Vehicle Act also he should be penalized. This is what police can do, and I think they will do it within a week.
Okay. Ashwini Dubey, has social media forced the police and law and order agencies to be more alert, take action with more alacrity?
Yes, Megha, because of the social media only we are having a discussion on a reputed channel like you and such a reputed journalist like you. Had it not been the media or social media, the X or other platforms and the WhatsApp, then we would not have come to know what has happened in Lamborghini, what has happened in Porsche, what has happened in Greater Noida, what has happened in Greater Kailash. But other thing, Megha, today we are discussing, but what would happen tomorrow? Most of the fatal cases, witnesses does not come. Most of the fatal cases because of the destruction of the evidence. Why? Because the police does a lot of delay in lodging the FIR, and a criminal jurisprudence each and every second is important for collecting the evidence, to bringing it to the logical end before the court. And what happens in the cases? Days and days, they wait for if this kind of 125 of BNS cases, which can be easily compoundable, they wait for that. It could be settled outside the police station or outside the court. So where is the perpetrator of the crime or the proximate the punishment keeping in view the offense? And had it not if there is no punishment, means there is chances of violating the law is again and again arises, as we have seen in the Lucknow bench judgment, where the honorable court said that the attempt to rape case, that was a clear cut giving a go ahead to those who may commit this kind of crime, because attempt of rape was defined in such a way, but thanks to the Supreme Court. Here also the same thing is happening, Megha. 106, which is one of the case. 125, what is the punishment as of now? 3 months to 3 years. Who has got the 3 years punishment as of now? Even when there is 304A, brought by Lord Macaulay, where maximum punishment in 2 years and death and negligent cases. Police station se jaakar thane se zamanat mil jati thi. Who would be caring about the law? Law has to be implemented and ensure the law enforcement agencies, the prosecuting agency ki jaldi se jaldi saza mile. Then only people would fear the law. Otherwise, why anybody would fear agar thane se hi zamanat mil jayegi to?
Okay.
So, Megha,
okay.
Yes.
So then, Anurag, do you think the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita that has allowed for the amendment of a number of sections to allow for more stringent punishment to be levied on criminals and culprits like these has allowed for greater justice to be done to the victims?
Actually, to be very frank, in our country, all these incidents are judged by or handled through MV Act. In number of developed countries, these are the criminal cases, and these cases must be dealt as per the criminal cases, not as per the Motor Vehicle Act cases. We have the example of Hit and Run Act, but unfortunately it was in under the files, so there was no action on that. But all these such things like dangerous driving, over speeding, and there must be a specification, like if the posted speed limit is 80 or 100, and if you are speeding by 20%, then this much for punishment, by 50% this much of, 100% this speeding, over speeding, then this much of, must be specification, because in our constitution there are number of acts, number of laws, but hardly we are having.
How does it matter if you are overspeeding by 20 kilometers per hour or 100 kilometers per hour? The fact that if you are not driving as per permissible limit, there is a danger that you may overrun an individual. There may be car crashes, vehicle crashes that may happen. You may ram into some individual, like this incident has taken place. So why would you want to bring about a distinction that, listen, if you drive from 80, if you overspeed from 80 to 100, this is the penalty that you will have to pay. If you were to cross the 200 limit, how does it even make a difference?
We have to think about the intensity of the crime, because if you are just overspeeding by this just 20 or 30 kilometers per hour,
even if you overspeed by 20 to 30 and you kill a man, are you saying that the intensity of the crime is lesser than a person who's oversped by, I don't know, 100 kilometers and perhaps not killed anybody?
There are two things. One is the killing and one is the overspeeding. One is the intention to kill someone or intentionally killed someone. So we have to define.
Okay, we are veering into another direction about intention to kill. This is obviously not an intention that was made by the individual when he accidentally rammed into the pavement and ended up injuring those two laborers. All right, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, and on that note, I'm out of time. Thanks for watching Newsx.